Two defeats in the last two games in the Champions League for Barcelona have left Xavi and his Barcelona players staring down the barrel of the gun in the Champions League. They've accumulated just 3 points from 3 games so far and sit behind both Bayern and Inter in the Champions League group of death. It would take 3 victories in their last 3 games for Barcelona to actually have a shot at making it to the Champions League knockout stages. But even then, should Inter beat Bayern Munich in their game, it'll all come down to points in head-to-head matches between the 3 teams, and if it's 1 win and 1 loss for all 3, then it'll go down to goal difference, where Bayern have a significant advantage. Just 3 games into the Champions League season, and Barcelona are already sweating over their chances of doing well this year, denting Laporta's all-or-nothing plans significantly. Hi guys, and welcome to Football Talk, where we bring you the latest news and transfer updates, and analyse different teams and their performances for you. Today, we're going to look at Barcelona's abysmal start to the Champions League and ask the age-old question: will they make it past the group stage, or are they going to be condemned to the Europa League once more? Well, we understand where Barcelona is right now and the sheer difficulty of the task they're faced with, but it shouldn't have been like this. Barcelona fans have a legitimate bone to pick with VAR this season. Against both Bayern and Inter Milan, 2 very controversial decisions tilted the tie in the favour of Barca's opponents. In the game against Bayern, Ousmane Dembele made his way into a dangerous position in the Bayern box before being tripped over by Alphonso Davies. Barca screamed for a penalty, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. The referee was unmoved. There was no VAR check. It wasn't a clear and obvious error. Had Barcelona gotten the penalty in the first half, it was very likely that Lewandowski would have buried that chance. Also, keep in mind, Barcelona was not the weaker team in the tie. Had Lewandowski kept his head, he would have buried several chances Barcelona created for him. But that's not the point. The point is that there was a stonewall penalty that Barcelona was denied, something to show for their efforts on Bayern's goal. Even Lucas Hernandez, one of Bayern's goal scorers, felt that Barcelona should have gotten the penalty. He didn't understand why it wasn't given. Had Barca scored the penalty, Lewandowski would have been much more confident in the second half, and maybe could have added to his total. There's no doubt, however, Bayern was on the back foot, and in the first half, their best player was Manuel Neuer, making save after save to keep Bayern in the game. Even in the second half, after an excellent scoring chance that Rafinha would go on to miss, Bayern broke on the counter and eventually won a corner after a ferocious shot from Leon Goretzka. They would score on the corner against the run of play because of a Marcos Alonso mistake, but then just 4 minutes later, tear through the Barca defence and get their second goal. There was no way they were going to give up that lead, and Barca lost the game. Xavi and Barca fans were understandably furious after the game, wondering why VAR had not intervened on the penalty. There was nothing that could be done though, and so they bit their lips and prepared for their upcoming game against Inter instead. After getting to the top of La Liga on the weekend, finally pipping Real Madrid to the summit, Barca was confident going up against Inter. Any football fan in the world will tell you that Barcelona played poorly in the game against Inter. It was downright depressing watching them try and link attacks together to create some sort of decent scoring opportunities. They were wasteful, and Rafinha and Dembele in particular had no luck trying to unlock Inter's defence. But it's precisely these sorts of games that are defined by the finest margins. Despite Barcelona playing terribly, they still managed to create 2 chances that should have been considered in the conversation. Firstly, midway through the second half, Pedri, the one Barcelona player that seemed up for the game against Inter, he headed the ball in after a cross from the right wing, with Onana knocking the ball away from Fati by getting just the lightest of touches. The ball swerved in midair, Fati couldn't get his hand out of the way since he was mid-jump, and it knocked his hand before landing at Pedri's feet. VAR correctly ruled out the goal for handball, since Ansu Fati's hand was still being used to make him bigger and was away from his body. The rules are pretty clear in terms of the effect of making yourself bigger in the box by stretching your hands away from your body. It was very harsh, and just 2 seasons ago would not be considered a handball, but given the new rules, it was. But that same logic then applies in stoppage time when Denzel Dumfries, the Inter substitute, handed the ball to clear it before it got to Ansu Fati, who was destined to at least hit the target with his header. Denzel didn't have the incredible frame of Onana in front of him to knock the ball onto his hand. He straight up just handled the ball in the D. VAR didn't even consider this worthy of a replay and straight up denied Barcelona the penalty. Barcelona fans and Xavi were fuming after watching this. First, they got a goal chalked off for handball when Ansu Fati could have done nothing to prevent the ball from hitting his hand. And then, in the same game, they're denied a clear penalty, but it's understandable if the referee missed it in real time. But unlike when their goal was disallowed, VAR chose not to intervene. UEFALONA is what Barcelona was called back in the 2000s and in the 2010s, with the UEFA Champions League referees seemingly going out of their way to protect Barcelona and sometimes even ensuring they qualify. Sorry Chelsea fans, but it looks like that label is going to be dropped very soon. Barca fans are furious, and rightly so. There have to be bigger questions that have to arise around VAR. How could such a big decision be made incorrectly? There is no longer a question of just Barcelona, however. It extends to other leagues and teams as well. What do you guys think? Are Barcelona and Xavi justified in their outburst against VAR? Should more changes be brought to the technology? And if yes, what sorts of changes? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.